spectacular. The way that they showed off Kylo Ren's Force abilities and stopping that laser blast, and the sound of the Force, and how he held Poe Dameron, still when he blocked that laser that laser blast. The comedy between Poe Dameron and Kylo Ren. It's just the establishment of all of it was great. When we go and we meet Rey, I mean, it all is just so much fun to watch. The John Williams score that he wrote for Rey, it's just, I love it, and it fits her perfectly. And JJ did a really, really good job of setting the tone of Rey. She wasn't a mean person. She was kind of a goofy person, putting on that X-Wing helmet. Again, not Luke's X-Wing helmet. It had different markings on it, different colors. But also there was and it's in the visual dictionary, she makes a doll of a Rebellion X-Wing pilot and a Resistance X-Wing pilot. And that's sitting in her little hovel of the rusted out AT-AT. So I really thought they did a good job with Rey. The breakout scene from the finalizer was a lot of fun. The banter and the dialogue and the action. Again, I love the action. I love the spaceships. I love the space battles. And the movie didn't disappoint. The only thing that I would have liked to have seen was, and I'm curious to listen to the commentary to find out why there was the decision made, but I would have liked to have seen a more diverse group of ships. I mean, really, we just had the Scissor X-Wings and then the First Order TIE Fighters. We had a couple different models of the First Order TIE Fighters, but there was nothing in terms of radical design like we saw with the TIE Interceptors. There was no A-Wings, there was no B-Wings, and maybe this is just more due to the fact that the Resistance is zeroed in on these particular aircraft and there's not as many factions involved anymore. Perhaps they're trying to, again, echo A New Hope in keeping with just a few specific styles, and then in 8 and 9 they can explore more designs, and the First Order will add different designs to their arsenal. In A New Hope we only had Y-Wings and X-Wings and one standard TIE fighter, so maybe again they were just following along those lines. I just would have liked to have seen a little bit more variety. There was the one Resistance transport ship that brought Leia to Takodana, but that was really the only sort of difference in terms of aircraft, apart from the big freighter that Chewie and Han were flying. One of my favorite parts of the movie, apart from the lightsaber battle at the end, was that Falcon chase. That Falcon chase was, one of my favorite moments of all the films. That was just so well executed and so much fun to watch and so exciting. A buddy of mine actually said that he liked how they turned the Millennium Falcon into a character, and they did. They really, really did. It actually makes me enjoy the Millennium Falcon in the other movies even more now when I've gone back just watching the trailers and then going back and watching the original movies. I have a completely new appreciation for the Millennium Falcon. First time around, I didn't really care for, and I've heard this complaint from other people, I didn't really care for the Rathtars on Han and Chewie's freighter. That scene, I just was kind of like, okay. But when I watched it a second time, I really appreciated it because it was necessary in the movie. It was very Star Wars. I know people complain that the Rathtars were too CGI. I disagree. We've had monsters in the previous films, but we've also had some distance from that. And when you think about the Dianoga, for as small that it was, and that was really limitations of 1977 technology, right? As to why that was, just a smaller scene. But when you go and you think about the giant space worm in The Empire Strikes Back, and then you think about the Rancor And the Sarlacc pit in Return of the Jedi, this is part of Star Wars lore. And you could easily go back and say that, the Rancor from Return of the Jedi is completely unnecessary, right? Because it is. But this is what Star Wars is. And this is the problem I have, too, with those of us that have been doing this for, I say doing this, but those of us that have been fans for a long, long time, is that we look at these movies this way, and I'm so in love with the mythology of it that I forget about the whimsical part of it. You've been waiting for this movie for so long, and this is, some of the struggle that I had watching it the first time. You've been waiting for this movie for so long that when you get to a scene and we're not talking about the mythology and we're not learning anything new about the characters, it's kind of like, come on, I want to see more. I want to get to more. Let's perpetuate what happens. And you kind of got to stop and go, wait. This is still a movie. Is this fun? Yeah, it's fun. What do we learn? Well, we learn that, Rey's got some skills, and, she saves Finn multiple times in the movie. And much in the same vein of other JJ movies, that scene is absolutely necessary, because you need to get Han, Chewie, Rey, and Finn, and BB-8 on the Falcon out of that freighter. They need to get away from what they're doing. You have to get them motivated and moving for some reason. And if you just have the gangs show up, which looks cool, by the way, I love those Guavian enforcers. Those guys are cool looking. The red guys with the target faces. If you just have those guys show up, it's not going to be enough. So you got to get them off somehow. You've got to get them with the Falcon, and this was a really fun way to do it. And so that scene the second time around, even though I missed a portion of it because I had to take my 9-year-old to the bathroom, I went, nope, that scene's necessary. That has to happen. Then we get to Maz Kanata's castle, and I know people have said it's a rehash of the Cantina scene, but you know what? So is Dexter's diner, right? So is, to a certain extent, when they go on Tatooine, the Phantom Menace, when they go to the junkyard, it kind of is a bit of a rehash there, right? Again, it's just nitpicking for nitpicking. My excuse, by the way, for Maz Kanata's castle and the watering hole and how it was different was that they were barbecuing. I remember when I watched it the first time, I thought that, hey, you know what? It's not the cantina scene. It's a bar, and they're doing Mongolian barbecue. So it's different for that reason. All right, so Maz Kanata. Loved Maz Kanata. Want more Maz Kanata. She was great. Didn't want to take my eyes off of her. Didn't look like a CGI character at all. I thought that Maz was absolutely fantastic, and I want more of Maz in the future. I want Maz on Rebels. I want Maz in Rogue One. I thought she was fantastic. So we're going to have to take a break here in just a moment, but let me close out the first half of this podcast with sort of the turning point and the point of no return in the movie, and that is the lightsaber calling to Rey. I didn't know where we were headed at this point. I had heard some spoilers about how this was supposed to play out. But really, once the movie got here, I disconnected from the internet and tried to put out everything that I'd learned before and just wanted to judge the movie on its merits. And in doing so, this scene, very reminiscent of A New Hope, very reminiscent, of Empire Strikes Back, very reminiscent of Luke going into the cave. The lightsaber obviously calling to Rey. She hears herself screaming as a kid, which sends her down into the catacombs. That door automatically opens up when she walks by it. My assumption, automatic door, just like you could use it, Walmart or Walgreens. She walked close enough to it, and it opened up. And the lightsaber called to her. And then when you get to the flashback, or they call it a force back, to me, this was the Force and the lightsaber telling Rey, this is your destiny, this is where you've come from, this is where you're going, this is the journey that you need to now accept. This was the Uncle Owen, Aunt Beru moment for Rey, but she makes a different choice and doesn't make the choice to commit until later in the movie, where Luke did it right at that moment with Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. So when she touches the lightsaber, what is she shown? She's shown the hallway on Cloud City, on Bespin. You hear Luke screaming in the background right after he finds out that, right after Darth Vader reveals to Luke that he is his father. You hear him screaming. Then she sees what feels like and look like the lava from the battle between Obi-Wan and Anakin, showing Anakin's downfall as Vader. Then you see Luke Skywalker put his hand on R2, and more than likely that's the funeral pyre after he's burying all the individuals in the academy, all of his Padawans that he was training. Then you see the Knights of Ren and Kylo Ren after they wiped out the... so you're kind of working in reverse, kind of starting with Bespin, and then you kind of bounce around. So you see Bespin, and then you go to Mustafar, and then she goes to see Luke and him burning the individuals that were killed by Kylo and the Knights of Ren. Then she sees Kylo and the Knights of Ren after they've done that. Then it flashes over to see her being left on Jakku with the spaceship taking off. And I think that covers it. And then when she wakes up is when Maz Kanata walks up to her and says, "Your family is not coming back to you, and you know this. The item you seek isn't behind you, it's in front of you." And she says, "Luke." Look, Maz all but spells out that, the Force is calling to you, the lightsaber is calling to you, your destiny lies ahead, and it's with Luke Skywalker. Now, one of two things. Either the Force has just chosen somebody to pick up the mantle and carry on, or she is Luke Skywalker's daughter. And to me, that makes the most sense. Kathleen Kennedy said that the saga movies were going to be about the Skywalker legacy. Now, you can continue to make that argument because Luke is still in the film, Luke is still in the movies, and Kylo Ren is the Skywalker. But we're going to have to move on from Luke. We're moving on from Han, and I don't think you're going to see much of Princess Leia anymore, General Leia anymore. I think that it makes the most sense for Rey to be Luke's daughter. Now, I have some more theories about that, but that scene to me, without saying it, does a, hey, everybody, winky, winky, nudge, nudge, unless there's going to be some kind of twist down the road. But, Rey is Luke's daughter, which raises the question, why did he leave her there? I think he left her there because he failed in training Kylo and didn't want to see his daughter suffer the same fate. He knew he could not pass on what he learned and he failed. And the best thing for him to do was to go into exile and put his daughter on Jakku to be watched over by Lord Santeca because he had the piece of the puzzle to go and find Luke. And again, await the day when the time would come for Rey's awakening, just like Luke. Ben Kenobi was watching over Luke on Tatooine. I will watch over the boy until the time is right. Lora Santeca was on Jakku. Rey was there by herself. She could take care of herself, watching over and waiting for Rey to arrive, which she did at the end of the movie. All right, I'm going to take a quick break, and then we'll get into part 2 of the podcast and part 2 of my spoiler-filled review of Star Wars The Force Awakens. Take a brief moment and let you know, too, that if you want to email me, brand new email address, talkshownerd@gmail.com. Talkshownerd@gmail.com. So a quick break, and then we'll start and pick up at the second half of Star Wars The Force Awakens.